Work out right. Okay, here we go.
We're live.
We live, but we got to fix the bulb. How about that?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty good.
Better? Could be better?
Better. That's it. Perfect.
Perfect?
Perfection.
We did it! Hey friends.
Hi.
I'm here with, wait, no, see? Look, Sarah, here we go. There we go. Now we're better. I'm here. Hi, it's Crystalline, as if you didn't know. It says that on my post, right? I am here with my friend Sara, and we are in my little Airbnb apartment in Marseille, France, and we're going to talk to you all about moving to Europe as a single woman. And if you happen to be in midlife, then in midlife too. It doesn't really matter though. I don't think it matters about being.
It's not relevant.
It's not relevant, but is really good for the market. It's really good for having a market. So anyway, no matter what your age, we're talking about that. We're having a discussion about it because we're both women who have moved to Europe on our own, and we've both come to France, and a lot of women, and there's nothing against women who come to France and get married or got their visa based on marriage, but I didn't do that. You didn't do that either.
I didn't do that, no.
Yeah, but I know quite a few women who started their journeys living in Europe because they married someone who is European. And neither Sara nor I did that. So we're going to just talk about moving. But first, let me introduce my friend, Sara Varal?
Yes.
Sara Varal, is that how I say it?
It sounds good like that.
But how do you say it?
It's Sarah Verrill, and that's very ordinary sounding. I much prefer Verral or Virali. But yeah, Verrill is the basic English way of saying it. But
Sara Varal.
there we are. Own my name.
That's right. Own her name. Look, I met Sara through our mutual friend, Lorraine, who, right?
Yeah.
Who introduced me to Marseille and who Sara met here. Tell us how you met Lorraine.
Yeah, she just floated by. She came down to Marseille to start working here. And she came by where I was sitting outside with a friend of mine, said hello, and we just kept on meeting in different parts of Marseille because it's, as you know, a small little town and you keep meeting each other. So it's lovely. It's lovely for that, isn't it?
It is so lovely for that. Apollo got sick this morning.
Oh, poor boy.
Oh, I know. He was sick this morning because you remember what he was eating last night. And I told you he found that churro on the road. He had a churro at like 9 o'clock at night. And so he woke up with a tummy ache. But I did give him the clay. Anyway, this morning at 7.
Just gone 7.
Just
a few
gone
minutes
7.
after 7, yeah.
I was out, it's pitch black here, when 7 o'clock in the morning, it is dark. And I'm out there with a polo and I'm kind of grumbling. And here comes Sara riding on her bike. And she's like, oh, gotta go.
Gotta go to work.
Gotta get to work.
Yeah.
Excellent. But Lorraine is our mutual friend. And what I love is what Sara just described. This little town has a way of pulling everyone together. You run into people and it feels really good. It feels so cozy.
Yeah, I say to people, don't worry about getting lost. And when we arranged to meet last night, we just had a very vague arrangement that we'd meet in the area. Because you just know that you will. You don't have to stress about, I'll meet you at the third lamppost on the right at the junction. It's just, I'll meet you somewhere on the square.
It was fantastic. It was actually really, really good. And so I came to Marseille because my friend Lorraine, our friend Lorraine, was like, you got to come down here. It's a beautiful town. I think you'll love it. It's going to be great. You're making a big change. Come and just spend a little time here, and then you can go back on with your journey. And that's how I found it. And actually, do you want to tell them how you found me?
How I found you?
Do you remember?
Lorraine said to me that you were around in town and that you had a dog, and gave me your contact details to exchange contact details, so you had mine, but neither of us had actually connected, and I was in the cafe with somebody else, and I thought, hello, there's a lady with the dog with the short hair that Lorraine described. Are you Crystal?
Right,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
Not to mention that there are probably only 3 black people in all of Marseille.
Possibly.
I think I'm the third.
That was the other clue.
So there's another clue with that, right? Like a strange, a black woman with a dog. Like, I don't know of any. I've yet to see it. I've seen 2 of the other black people who live here, and actually one lady last night had a dog.
Oh, okay.
A little tiny lady.
All right.
Yeah.
Didn't count.
Yeah, little tiny dog.
Not the same.
As that lady said the other day, I think you were with me. She said, "Oh, Apollo is a real dog.
Yes, yeah.
He's big,
Proper size.
a proper-sized dog." Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this kind of gets me though into the thing that I am curious about for you, and I'd love for you to share. What made you decide to start? Like, what made you decide to do this? To come here?
To come to France.
To leave the UK, which is where you're from originally. Why leave the UK? Because that's a beautiful country. It's not like you got a shortage of land and cows and beautiful villages there.
Land and cows, yep, we got that.
And cities. And beautiful cities too.
Yep. It was a funny thing actually. I lived in the same town, Brighton, for over 50 years, and I was actually in the most comfortable rut, and everything was working perfectly. I'd been through ups and downs and hoops and bumps and lumps and everything, and finally everything was just flowing along. And then I thought, well, I've always wanted to live in France, so I'll go and see. So blow it all up, having worked so hard to get it just so. So I wouldn't say it was like a midlife crisis. It's a midlife shake-up. And it all went a little quicker than I intended, but hey.
Yeah. How old were you when you moved here?
53.
53? You just said that, by the way.
Did I?
You did say it. I think you did. I think you did. Or
In
maybe.
my 50s, or you knew it anyway.
Yeah, so 53, you've gotten everything. And so up to 53, you had to work to get things stabilized.
Oh yeah. I've had a real mixed journey on that path. Absolutely. So, yeah, it was. Not being a good picker of partners would probably be a simple way of putting it. But yeah,
I couldn't possibly know what that is.
What could that be? So,
Okay. And so what I'm understanding is you've had some you're living your life.
Yeah.
You went into relationships, had some
ups and downs.
ups and downs.
Yeah.
But then you found yourself stable out of a relationship.
Yeah, stable and single.
Stable and single.
Yeah, and a few times in my life I've done things because if I've got a dream or an idea, somewhere I want to go, something I want to do, I'll wait a little while and put a few feelers out and see if any friend or anyone wants to come with me. But I can't be doing with waiting too long. So I want to do something, so I'll go. And if I haven't got a partner or a travel companion, then do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I think, my story as well. I think that, I was never one to wait. I made my first trip to Europe when I was 15. So I was living in California and I was in high school, 15 years old. And I was in the marching band. I was playing the flute. And loving it, actually. But then one of the local high schools, they put up one of those, advertisements for the kids and said, hey, we're going to take a group of high schoolers to Europe for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Not one person from my school went.
What?
Not one was even interested.
Wow.
out of all the schools, there are three. I grew up in Palos Verdes. I don't know if any of you all know Palos Verdes. It's probably, I'm sure it's very different now, but I went to Rolling Hills High School, and it was a very affluent neighborhood. Like it's a very prestigious, very exclusive area where I grew up.
Wow.
3 high schools. Out of the 3 high schools at that time, so this would have been 1986, there were 3 students who, and 2 of them were brother and sister, who came on this trip.
My goodness. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a lack of funds.
Nope. Just, yeah.
Stay safe.
Yeah, exactly. So my parents, by the way, invested for my cousin to come with me so I wouldn't be totally alone. So, and so they ended up taking the 4 of us and putting us with a group from New York, a bunch of kids from New York and a bunch of adults. So I feel bad for those adults because the New York kids were all black and they were rowdy as hell. They were loud, they were rowdy. And then there were the 4 of us from Palos Verdes. I was the only black kid. And then my cousin is a white girl from Utah. And then the brother and sister are from, a couple of white kids. So we were a mixed bag and we were having a good time. My experience of being in Europe was really, really high. I loved it. And I was like, I came back and I told everybody, I want to be in Europe. I'm going to live in Europe. I'm going to marry me a European man. I'm going to have me an apartment in France and in Paris. And me an apartment in Paris and a chateau and blah, blah, blah. I've had the story and that's what I'm doing now, actually. But my point is that was my first adventure into Europe, and it kind of really influenced what would come next for me.
First time I came to France was in my 20s with my partner who had a motorbike at that time, and we travelled on the motorbike for the month of July.
It's so romantic.
Straight down to the south of France, and I just fell in love with the scent of the air, the atmosphere, the priorities, the music of the language, and riding motorbikes over the years. You get a few aches and pains if you fall off, and so I just thought, when I'm older, I'm really going to have to live somewhere warmer than the UK, and well, why not somewhere on the Mediterranean? Somewhere on the Mediterranean. That was what ran over, but it took me another 30 years because I got on with life. And then one day I'm going to live in the south of France. And one of my friends said, if you keep saying one day and don't do anything about it, it won't happen.
Yeah, right.
So he gave me that little shove.
That's nice. That's a good friend, man.
He was a good friend. He is a good friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. And, I'm thinking about it because a lot of my, you're from the UK, and so we can see that kind of bridge between France and the UK. Getting here is a lot easier, but that doesn't mean that moving here is easy. I have another friend who's British, and there's no way you could pay him to actually move here. I mean, just the navigating the language and the different customs and the different rules and the different personalities. I mean, each country has its own personality. What are some of the challenges you had when moving here?
It was fascinating because I come from Brighton, which is a vibrant touristic city with lots of international visitors, lots of colour, very, very accepting. I think possibly the most accepting town in Great Britain. So initially, just a quick side note, I went to Italy, and as a single woman that didn't really work. So past that idea, which is what pushed me back to France, but France was the right choice. But I moved to a village in the hills surrounded by vineyards with 350 people. So I wasn't used to living in a village in a vineyards, whatever country, yet alone a different country. So there was a lot of things I learned. One of the things was to absolutely respect the women in the partnership. If you're meeting couples and the men are really friendly, still keep the conversation with the woman, because as a single woman in a village of 350 people, if I'd alienated one woman, I would have alienated the whole village.
You don't want to alienate a French woman.
No, and not in a small community like that. So I was very conscious of walk that line, which was very different to the sort of free and easy flow of Brighton. So no matter how friendly a guy was, you don't invite them in, you don't get into a deeper connection. Always connected with the wife. Which means being respectful of the culture, being respectful of the traditions, being respectful of their life, so the different country, but also the different setup of the town to small village.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think that I'm thinking about it right now. I'm thinking, yeah, Black culture too. If you're in Black America and you think that you can walk up to a couple and be like talking to the man and ignoring the woman, you are surely going to hear about it. And you will hear about it right then and there. There's not going to be we're not going to talk about it in the community. We're going to be like, excuse me, do you not see me? Mm-hmm. What are you up to?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yes, I can totally relate to that. And so I think that's probably something that I didn't think about, because it's just something that I would naturally do, you know. And
I'm not a flirt or anything, but it was.
Oh, you're a flirt! Come on! I'm working on being more of a flirt. But I think also, though, flirting with both the men and the women, I think for myself is one of my strategies for integrating. Because one of the things that I have found in kind of coming into any country, whether, you know, I've lived all over the world, Sarah. I've lived in Italy and Croatia. I've spent extended times in Spain, in Cambodia, Bali, India. No matter where I go, and I'm an only child. So and by the time I was 9 years old, my mom and I had moved 13 times.
Ooh. Whereas I didn't move at all. Well, I moved in Brighton and Hove. I moved along the coast.
Yeah, okay. But it's still the same community, right? And for me, it was lots of different communities growing up. And so for me to be nomadic as an adult, it's very natural. And integrating myself, there are definitely some strategies I learned, you know. For example, when, you know, going into a new place, it's, you know, just suck it up and go say hello and smile, and you know, and get yourself integrated no matter what. That's really important. I think it's a part of my own kind of safety. Like, I need you to see me. Do you see me here? I'm here. I'm not invisible. And I'm also not hiding. Which I think is what some people can do when they are new to a place. There's a timidity. And I think that someone who maybe is afraid of traveling by themselves, because I still hear, even in this day and age, I hear a lot of women say, oh, you travel by yourself? I could never do that. Oh, who do you know there? You went to live in Croatia? Who did you know in Croatia? Well, who did you know in Cambodia? And I'm like, I didn't know anybody. The hotel person? The person who made my reservation at the hotel? Or that's all? Yeah. But that's kind of all I found that I needed to know. So for me, my attitude is, I'm going to show up. And I'm going to let everybody know that I'm here in whatever way I can.
That's interesting. That's picking up something that I've been aware of, is people say, oh, you're so brave, you're so courageous, and you sound really brave and really courageous. I'm not always brave and courageous, but I still show up. And one of the things that I've found is that people are genuinely kind and helpful, and you don't have to be brave and courageous every day.
Right.
If you just put your face out there, it takes an enormous amount of courage on one hand, but on the other hand, you don't have to come in super strong to connect with people. Different people will connect in different ways.
Yeah.
It's each person does things in their own way and what feels most comfortable. And I think showing up authentically, whatever person you are, as you were saying, like not hiding, not because that's not who you are. So show up as that person. And I show up as who I am. Yeah. And then people find you and connect.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think it also shows a little bit of where Sara has a more forgiving attitude than I do. She said, basically you said, people are going to be the way they are. And I accept that. That's what I heard you say. Like, don't expect people to be other than what they are. I be expecting people to be very different than what they are because I am not that forgiving. I am like, hi, good morning. I'm here. Do you see me? Welcome me. That's kind of that's what I expect. I expect everyone when I show up in a place to look me in the eye, say good morning, and to say, oh, you're new here. That's what I expect. Why? Because that's what I do. And when they don't do that, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Ooh, that's what I go to. What's wrong with me? Not what's wrong with you, but what's wrong with me? What am I invisible? It's very personal, but yes, that's my own insecurity.
Okay. Oh, I've had a bucket full of insecurities through life, but I had so many funny things happen in the village when I got there. But I had one friend who had moved to France years before, and she told me what you have to do, day one, go to the bakery and say, hello. Everybody will be in the bakery because that's France. You go to the bakery first thing in the morning. So all you got to do to meet half the village in one go, walk in, good morning, my name's Sara, I've just arrived. Exactly what it is. I walk into our bakery, which is big enough to hold the person who's serving a counter and 2 other people. Like, hello, I'm occupying up a bit of space here. And my name's Sara and I've just arrived, and absolutely could not be less interested. Like, you're interrupting our conversation, and so what would you want? Oh, can I just have some bread then, please? And can I have a croissant? No. No? Why? I can't have a croissant? No. But I'd like croissant for me and my friends who just helped me move? No. You had to pre-order your croissant.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. It took me about 6 weeks to learn. But I saw someone getting a croissant from under the counter that they'd asked for the day before.
Oh my God.
Then I learnt, you've got to ask in advance. But hello.
Right.
They're like, yeah, and so what?
See, this is why I say she's brave. And I think this is why people believe that folks like you and I are brave. Because the thought of walking into a bakery where you don't know anyone, you don't speak the language, and your language, you might know enough, but it's not great, and you're sticking out. I think that's very terrifying for people to be like, oh, I'm here, and then be like, oh God, you see me. I don't know about this. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Yeah, maybe it's my love of food that got me there.
I could totally relate to that, man.
I could get the bread.
Right, you gotta get that bread. It's worth it. No, I hear you on that. And I wonder about for people who might be watching this, and you all, if you're watching live, you can in the comments type #live, and if you're watching the replay, please type in #replay. That will be helpful for us. But what are some of the fears you have about traveling by yourself? What are some of the, if you've traveled by yourself, what are some of the challenges that you faced? I know that for myself, it's always not knowing, like, what is this? Because this town where we are, Marseille, is very, very, very friendly. But I have been in some places where the initial reaction is not necessarily so much friendly as it is maybe a little bit guarded or a little skeptical. And it also depends on where you are and, who you are and what your stories are. But have you ever had any really negative experiences when you're traveling?
No, not really, really, really. No. Well, that thing of not knowing, I went off backpacking to Australia and New Zealand over the millennium for a year, and I'd never done anything like that before, and I was a bit older than most people who take their gap year. And somebody said, "Are you not scared?" And I said, "I don't know what to be scared of, because there's so many things that could happen. So I'm going to wait for something to happen, and then I can be scared by it. Because I could get it wrong. I could be terrified of 99 things that don't happen."
Yeah.
So it was a bit naive, really, but
Such a good
just
attitude.
Wait and see. At the same time, I was scared, but just sort of generally.
Yeah.
Rather than specifically.
Right, and it's also that kind of anticipation, like what's going to happen, this and what could go on, and that it's hard to say that that's fear as much as just kind of for me, I feel that as excitement and adrenaline and just curiosity and anticipation, but I wouldn't put that as fear.
You've reminded me, I was told long ago that fear is next to excitement on the emotional scale. So
Right.
if I feel frightened, I think, right, just shove yourself up the scale a little bit and call it excited.
Shove it
And
up
see
the
if I
scale.
can. But my thing is, for travelling, the logistics, worrying about the buses, the coaches, the trains, are they going to show up? Am I going to be stranded somewhere in the dark at 2 at night? But when I went backpacking, I met a girlfriend, and she said, I think it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The first thing is get yourself a bed for the night. The second thing is get yourself some food. And then you've achieved the basics.
You've achieved the basics. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, look, and with today, I have to say that you said you were traveling when? Doing the backpacking?
Over the millennium, 99 to 2000.
Yeah, so that was 20 years, 25
years ago, I know. Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, things have changed.
Yes.
With the traveling, there's so much connectivity through, internet and being able to check things out. I mean, the fact is, I now will book a place after having walked all the streets on Google Maps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they have that feature at the bottom of Google
the
Maps.
little person.
Yeah, and you can just turn that on and you can inspect the street, and I move that camera up and down. I look at the graffiti on the walls. I look at the streets. I look at its proximity. I'll do a search. I spend like an hour, like where's the local bakery? Where's the police department? Like where are things with regard to this particular hotel? I look at all the details around what the area is, and I think that's why I've never felt like I made a bad decision about any place that I've ever stayed.
You've done the research.
I've done some kind of research, and I may not do like a lot of like research on the history, but I definitely investigate that neighborhood because I don't want to land in a place that's not safe or that's not fully walkable. Like if I land in a place with no sidewalks, to me that's not a safe place. That's not a walkable place if there are no sidewalks. And if there are wild dogs or stray dogs, not a safe place for me. So yeah, doing that kind of research for sure is important for me.
So when I was travelling over the millennium, it was backpacking, so it was going to backpackers. But even then, my brother gave me 2 Lonely Planet guidebooks when I was getting on the plane, saying you might need these. So that was great. So I was flicking through the Australia one. That's where I was going first. And, oh yeah, this is useful. But Queensland. And I knew of like the Club 18 to 30 scene for backpacking. It's what the gap year students, lots of backpacker hostels that accommodate them, and that seemed to be what the hostels were. I didn't know of anything else, so I went to a few of them in the beginning, and they were there for a party culture with hairdryers and heels, and I was there to go and walk around in the bush and look at the scenery, so didn't quite connect. And then I found an alternative lot of backpackers
Yeah.
that suited me. So I didn't do the research beforehand, a bit like coming to France, really.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. For me, it's really my research is done just about where I'm going to be staying.
Personal safety is important.
Personal safety is important, and also being able to walk. I have to have a place where I can walk. If I live in a place and it's not a walkable place, I am going to be unhappy. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will leave that place for sure, for sure, whether it's a walkable neighborhood or, whatever. And the result of knowing that about myself has given me tremendous confidence. Is it a walkable place? Yes, then I will do it. If it's not, no, I will not.
Brilliant. One of your personal criteria.
One of my personal criteria, absolutely. So one of the things that I want to let you know about my friend Sara here. Hey, Sevda. Thanks for joining in, friend. One of the things I want to share with you about my friend Sara here is that she actually bought a home here in Marseille, France. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about like what that's like and how that feels to be a stranger buying property in a strange land.
Yeah. When I first looked at coming to France, it was with the idea to be here full time. And I owned a property in England. I owned a small 1-bedroom apartment in Brighton. And so that set my budget for what I could spend. And then I found this enormous house in the small village in the hills with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and 640 square metre garden with wells and everything. And it was unbelievable. It was right at the top of my budget I could afford. But it was like, okay, this is something that I never imagined in my life I could do. So I bought it. And because I was European, Great Britain were part of Europe when I bought, and so it felt like I wasn't taking such a huge risk. I was on the European landmass as a European, and then the year later there was the Brexit vote and I was a British person and not a European anymore, which was heartbreaking. So it's very destabilising time, but I spent 4 years in the hills and loved it, but what made me move to Marseille was not walkable, kind of walkable, but also bicycle. I'd bought a bicycle when I lived in the hills, and it seemed like everywhere the hills went up and they never came down, and I'm not that fit. And I thought, logistically, that's not possible. There must be a down somewhere. Yeah. But so my bike just sat and didn't get used, and I thought, I need to be somewhere that I don't have to drive. Yeah. Because if I can't drive, if I have an accident or an injury or something, I want to be somewhere I can walk to the shops, drive to the shops, cycle to the shops rather, be more easily accessible. Even though the community I was with were lovely and helpful people, it was that being able to look after myself was important. But the whole thing of owning a property, it was just the way to do this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Now, the other place where you had the house originally was what area? What's it called?
The village was called Saint-Nazaire-de-Ladurez. There are 13 Saint-Nazaires throughout France. So one of my friends thought I was moving just north of Paris. She said, that'll be easy, I'll just pop over. I have to pop a little bit further.
Right. Okay, got you. All right.
So it's just about an hour and a quarter from here, and it's a totally different world.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And it's in the hills. There's no coast.
No coast. There's a beautiful river, the River Orbe, and rivers had never appealed to me. The rivers I'd encountered in Great Britain were sort of muddy, basically. And then there's this gorgeous River Orbe which flows and is just stunning. So it was a chance to learn about a different type of countryside.
Yeah, look, I think it takes a lot of courage to move into the countryside. I mean, first of all, I'm a city girl. Let's face it. I love my Paris, and I love that, you know. For me, commitment is what buying a house means. And I'm not particular. I'm now ready for that, but I'm not buying anything in the country to start. I'm buying something in the city. And that will be, that's my way of approaching it. But yeah.
Commitment, yes. When I bought my little flat in Brighton and Hove, I'd rented for years, and then the rental prices were going up, and it was getting uneconomic to do that. But I didn't want to be tied to a pile of bricks. I don't want to be tied to this property. And someone said, well, you could always rent it out if you want to go somewhere. And I thought, oh, okay. And I sat in it for 23 years, and I never did rent it out.
Oh, it's so funny.
But, well, oh no, tell her, I did rent it when I went over the millennium, when I went backpacking. But the rest of it, I didn't. And the time just went by.
Yeah.
And it set me up. It was, yeah.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad that you did that for yourself. You know, I feel like Europeans buy more than Americans. You know,
Different countries have different cultures, for sure.
For sure. I mean, you know, lots of Americans obviously own their own homes, but there's a renting culture in the United States, especially in cities, where we just expect to be renting. Like I know people who have rented all their lives, and they are now 80, you know, this is just how they've done it. But here in France, there's a lot of property that gets passed down from generation to generation. I know quite a few people who are French who have property, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. They're like, I don't know, we have this property, and you know, like, I think there's a lot of that happens.
And if
here.
there are half a dozen siblings, then they've all got to agree if they've all inherited.
Right.
So
exactly.
Different laws, different requirements. But Great Britain, it just got very pricey to rent, so that changed that culture. I think that it became Great Britain where people were buying a lot more than other Europeans. I think in France and Germany and Sweden, I don't know about Sweden. Some countries still rent a lot more than the Brits. The Brits got really caught up in buying capitalism.
Yeah.
Took off.
Yeah.
Yay, Maggie.
Another interesting thing about my friend Sara here is that she is an authoress. She has written, how many books have you written?
I've written 3 books now, and I'm on the 4th one. That's why I had hesitate.
All right.
Yeah, the 4th one is a work in halfway through.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
All right. So, what book would you want to share with us? I know you brought a couple, but if you're going to share like one that was the most pertinent to our conversation today.
It has to be the first one, which is Dream It, Do It, Why Not?
Dream it, do it, why not?
And this is about moving to France. This is what got me on the road of being a writer.
Yeah.
It's just the story of those 4 years. It's not my whole life, just the 4 years, and about moving. And it's to encourage and inspire people to say that even if you haven't got everything in place, even if you haven't got the right skill sets, like I'm not a great cook, you know, you've got to have your signature dish if you're going to mix with French people, haven't you? I haven't got a signature dish. And mistake. But just do it anyway. Yeah. And what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? Really, like you can totally fail and go, oh, now I need to find another plan.
Yeah.
But it was try it and see.
And I think there's something to be said for kind of taking a risk and following your heart. When you moved, and I'm sorry if you've answered this, how old were you when you bought your first place here in France?
That was when I was 53. Yeah.
That was 53?
Yeah.
Yeah. Middle-aged, doing the thing. I mean, that's courageous, man, doing that by yourself. I think that does require a lot of courage. You know, there's a lot to lose. You could be losing your retirement. You know, everything you've worked to save, to build up to this point, you're going to invest that in a house in France?
A couple of my friends, they're lovely. They said, I just scare them. They said, you live as if you've got a big pot of gold tucked under your mattress. And I haven't. Right. Well, I really haven't. And yeah, nothing goes to plan, I think, is the other thing. Well, not nothing goes to plan. I bought the house and that happened.
That was, yeah.
But how I was going to support myself, that didn't fall into place. So you just, oh, right, well, I'll juggle and get by, and it's a lifestyle. Many people have lived a far harder life than me. Like you live on baked beans on toast if you can't buy anything else, and they'll keep you going. So I thought I would be doing bookkeeping for the vineyard owners, and that was something I thought was my little income to support me. But of course, no, you don't get to do keeping people's private financial records if they don't know you and you don't speak the language. So I cleaned holiday homes instead. That was it. And worked in shops and did filing and took people to the airport or whatever. Just so none of those things were on my radar as jobs to do. But I need to have some money coming in. I need to stop biting away at my savings. But yeah, you just do what crops up at the time, really.
Yeah, and look, I like that as a way of really landing and integrating and going with the flow. You don't have to have everything planned out, figured out, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Things can change. You think that your business is going to go one way and it goes another way, and you adapt.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that today, in today's world especially, for me, and for what I work with clients and students, it's about developing whatever that side hustle is that you have. For Sara, her side hustle is book writing, authoring books. And she loves it, right?
I never knew.
And
that's only cropped up since working at a bed and breakfast and being encouraged to write my story. So, and then finding that I love writing. So now I'm going in a different direction.
Right. There's that. For me, my business, I started my business back in, I really started it back in 2011. I had a previous business, I had a day spa starting in 2007. And in 2011, I'm like, I'm going to sell this day spa, and I'm going to travel, and I'm going to become a life coach, and I'm going to do my life coaching online elsewhere, like from wherever I want to live. I'm going to be on the beach. I'm going to be in Cambodia. I'm going to be in Italy. I'm going to be in France, and I'm going to be doing my coaching. And I started building that business in 2011, got my certification, and then I sold my business, my brick and mortar business, in 2013. And so for me, I've been working online. I started off on Skype. And remember Skype? Oh my God, that was so long ago. Drop me some fire in the comments if you remember Skype. Some blue fire. But yeah, that was how I did it, and it was wonderful to be able to do that. And I remember Tim Ferriss. Do you know Tim Ferriss? Have you heard of him? He's this American guy, like kind of one of these serial entrepreneurs, and he's written a lot of books, and he wrote a franchise, and the first book was called The 4-Hour Work Week. Okay. And he's like, you should just work 4 hours, and these are the things you need to do it. You need you get virtual assistants, you outsource things, you set your schedule up this way, you do this online, blah, 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 blah. And he was the first person that I had heard that I really listened to, and I followed his steps. And next thing I knew, I sold my business and I was doing this online, and it worked. Cool. So that was very exciting for me, but I think that's also important for women, particularly midlife women, is to embrace doing something else, not just relying on your job. And whether you are, you have an entrepreneurial job, or, if you have a job, you're working in, the corporate world, or even if you're a housewife, developing some kind of a side hustle or a full-blown business, I think is going to do nothing but serve your spirit. Whether your business is going to be, you know, being an author and publishing books, or, you know, being a content creator of some sort, if you're a chef, or Sevda's with us and she's just an artist from her soul. Like, just being able to say yes to that and creating some kind of business around it so that you're able to do what you love, but then you're also able to earn some money. I think that that's just really, really powerful.
Absolutely. And I think it's a concept of our generation and a little earlier. My mum said to me, you know, why do you expect to be able to enjoy your work? Just be grateful to have a job. That was the attitude back then. I was really lucky. I started a little business of my own, can't remember the early days, and I had a mentor, and he said to me one of the first things to define was my personal definition of success, because for some people it would be to have 1,000 clients, for some people it would be to be traveling all over the world. For me, it was to be time rich. So the idea of working 4 hours a week and having enough money to, so he said, you need to know what your success is, because then you need to know you've achieved it. Because when you're self-employed, you're always chasing the next customer, the next job, the next dollar, instead of going, I've actually achieved what I wanted to. I can relax and enjoy myself, even if it's only for the afternoon.
Yeah,
but
it's true. It's a great attitude.
Really great bit of advice to actually work out what was important to me. And to me, it was to have the balance of work, income, and time.
Yeah.
Rather than having gold taps and fancy cars, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally get that. For me, it's the freedom and the freedom to choose what I do for the day, and the freedom to live where I want to live, the freedom to have my dog, you know, with me where I go, the freedom to say that I'm working right now. I'm on the clock right now and expect the universe to pay me for this time that I'm spending with my friend Sara having a conversation, you know, like I can call this work. This feels like work. Oh my God. And I love my work, you know?
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is, I think, really powerful. And I think also, you know, this is something that as a midlifer, personally, I feel like I've discovered this, you know, this level of authority. I did not have this when I was in my 20s and 30s.
Different priorities, different ideas, different awarenesses.
That, yeah, for sure. So now it feels though like this is very much where it belongs. So, Sara, is there anything that you want to share before we start wrapping up?
What should I share? What should I share that would be useful? Other than, I have a website, which is my name, www.saraverrill.com. And that's
but we got to spell that. Okay, because Sara is S-A-R-A.
Yep, no H.
No H, no E, right? And then Verrill is V-E-R-R-A-L-L. 2 R's, 2 L's. SaraVerrill.com.
Thank you. Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
And
And also, if they want this book, Sarah's going to put a link to get her Dream It, Do It, Why Not. She's going to drop the U.S. link in the on Facebook, okay? And we'll put it on YouTube as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I actually was reading one of Sarah's other books, and that's why I brought her on, because I think she's an excellent writer and very soulful. You can see she's very soulful, very authentic. And I think that's, I like reading them, so I definitely will recommend this book. I've not read this one yet, but just based on her reading, I would say check it out, especially if you're someone who wants to explore what it's like to do this, you know, to have a dream, have a desire, and follow that desire, even if it takes you out of your neighborhood.
One other thing I wanted to mention, I'm glad you mentioned Apollo, because for me, and one thing I wanted to say, like, even though we're single women. I have my companion animals, which are my 2 cats, and you have Apollo.
Yeah.
And for me, when I'm lonely, the boys are there. You know, the boys, Fred and Barney.
Fred and Barney, her two beautiful black cats.
Yeah.
So I'm also going to say another thing on this note. Don't let the singleness fool you. Both Sarah and I love romance and being in relationships with men. All right. So I have a dog and she has 2 cats, but do not think that she's like out here like, oh, it's over for me. I'm just not doing that. No, she's not. That's not her, and that sure as hell is not me. I saw the sex drive, okay, and I be exercising my sex drive. That's one reason why I likes Paris, okay.
I'm gonna come visit.
Yes, she is, and we're gonna hang out. So my point is, though, just because we're single right now doesn't mean that we are always single, and just because, you know, we've moved away from the old home doesn't mean that we're not going to establish new relationships. And I think that's really important, because I have spoken with a number of women who are upwards of 50, and they're talking like it's over. And I'm like, don't put that on me, because that is not where I want to go. And in talking to Sarah in our personal time, that's not what she's trying to do either.
No way. It's kind of like we said in the beginning about the midlife thing being relevant but not relevant. The singledom is relevant but not relevant.
Exactly.
It's a detail, and it's what we've talked about today, just to say you can do it as a single person. You said a lot of your people you knew married someone European. That's what brought them here. A lot of people that I've met came here married as the next step on that dream, and quite often there's an imbalance on whose dream is stronger.
Oof.
And the changes that happen. So
Right.
yeah, that's another angle. So relationship status, financial status, any status, it's they're all it's all part of being flexible. It's all part of just living, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's a part of it, and enjoying the adventure, I think. I think that's part of that. All right. So why don't we go ahead and wrap it up here, and we look forward to seeing you online. Please drop us some fire if you enjoyed this conversation. And wherever you see this, please give it a good reaction. Thumbs up, heart, emoji, whatever. Leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel. All right. Thanks, friend.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks,
Thank you.
friend. All right. Bye, everybody.